we're going to start with our guest, and Ron Moreland is signed up to speak. If you would like to speak first, or did you sign in to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to go first, or do you want to go at the end?
Well, I'll wait later.
That's fine. That's fine.
My question might be answered during the meeting.
Okay, no, that's fine. No, we can do that. We can put guests at the end then. That's fine. We're going to move on to accepting the minutes for the meeting from November 6th. I just need a motion in a second whenever you guys are ready.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of November 6th.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
All right. Do you mind if we kind of go out of order and let Paul go so that way they can get out of here so they're not here all night?
Yeah.
You can go ahead and start. If Marty, you want to kill one of those lights back there to
Sure.
make the screen more visible?
Okay, you want to try the other?
You can try the other one.
Yikes.
Yeah. I would do one back on so we're not in. No one falls asleep during Paul's presentation.
Right, I'm Paul Maddox with Maddox and Associates CPAs. I think I know some or most of you, but not all. My firm did the audit for the city for several years. We did it for a while, and then we had another firm for a few years, and then we came back and did it for a few years. And then we took over the accounting function for the city, starting this fiscal year, sometime in August or whatever, once we got the audit wrapped up for the last year, so we could move on to this. So our goal with doing the accounting for the city is to make it transparent, accurate, and timely for you, so you can make good decisions or the best decisions you can for the city. The accounting system you had in place before was fine. I think software might have been a little antiquated, so we've revamped everything from the ground up on the accounting side, all the way from payroll to time clocks to check approval to coding of the accounts, employee allocations. We've been busy on the back end doing a lot of things to try to get you guys information that's as accurate as can be. There's always some gray area because, somebody's doing this job here. Should they be, 40% here and 60% here, or should they be 50%, 50%, or should they be 30, 30, 40? Things like that, but we're doing the best we can to allocate things, and we're going to talk about that tonight. Tonight I'm going to go over the government side, so the general government, which is your general government services, your police, your fire, your public works, and your streets. I'm going to come back next month, if that's okay, and we're going to go through the utility stuff in detail.
We figured it would be better to split it up.
Yeah, and then in January, we'll come back again and do both, and then we'll be on a good cycle to get you the information every month for both sides of your business, because you do the business side where you're trying to manage water, electric, sewer, and garbage for a little while, and you're trying to manage the city as well. So we're just going to talk about the city tonight. Let me scroll down here. So first of all, you may or may not know, these are your bank accounts on the government side. So these are the accounts that are sitting at U.S. Bank that the city uses to manage its funds. You have a general account, which we use to pay the bills of the city out of. That's where the money comes into and goes out of. You put some money in the general reserve account several months ago. You put $50,000 in there to kind of set that aside. That's what that account is. You have a road aid account where the road aid money from the state goes into, and then you spend that on your roads and sidewalk projects. You have an ABC fund that collects taxes from the ABC licenses in the city. You have an LGEA account, which receives money a couple times a year from the state to be used for general government purposes. And then we have an asset forfeiture account, which the assets get forfeited from the police side, it goes into that account there. So that's the money the city has. That's the October 31st balance, which was $920,000. September 30th was $862,000. So it went up during the month $57,000. Not every month's going to go up, obviously. Some months are going to go up, some months are going to go down. October started property tax money coming in. That's why the general fund went up. That money will continue to come in November and December, and then that will kind of shut off. That spigot will shut off, and we'll live on that money until property taxes come rolling around again next year. But that's the money that the city has. Below that's just kind of like the bank reconciliation. There's some outstanding checks on the general side that haven't cleared yet. So the bank's showing you got $920,000. The book shows you got $883,000. So I'm not even sure if the council's aware those were the bank accounts that you had. But each month you're going to get a bank balance. Here's how much money we're sitting on, so you know. There used to be a loan for the fire truck, I believe that was.
Yeah.
That got paid off, so that's zero at the end of October. When we look at the utility side, you're going to see utility bank balances and utility loans, which are some significant loans for the the infrastructure of the water and sewer plants. But that'll just give you the big picture of how much money do we have and who do we owe. All right, now the first column up here, take my mouse here and get that point. So this column right here, July through October 2025, these are the actual expenditures that we've recorded into those departments for the city. So for the general government, it was $103,000. For police, it was $299, fire was $54, public works $37, and streets/sidewalks $70. So the expenditures for the city for the first 1 month were $565,000. If you project that out, and I did the projection just by taking 4 months and extrapolated to 12 months. If you did that, that projected column is what you would spend for the year. The only thing I didn't do that for was the street sidewalks, because I was thinking that was definitely a one-time project that we did. But for general government, for example, if you spend $100,000 in 4 months, that means you're gonna spend $300,000 for 12 months if you continue at that pace. Same with police and fire. The third column there is the approved budget, so that's what this council approved back prior to the fiscal year starting. And budgets, have some guesswork in them. And then the far column is what those departments would end up being over budget for if they kept up that pace. Now, having said that, there are things in July through October that will not repeat in the second half of the year. For example, insurances, for the most part, get paid up front for the year. And it's pretty significant insurance bills for the city. So that's not going to multiply out. So it's not going to be as bad as what that projection looks like. But if it was the same pace, that's where we would be.
In the streets and sidewalks, that's the balance that council voted for and approved, but we just haven't actually moved yet.
Right.
Where we were gonna take money out of the reserve to
Yeah.
fund that, cause we didn't have enough to do the projects we did, so that's what that's showing there, cause we need to fund that, cause we didn't actually do the budget amendment, we just voted on it and said we'd do that when we did the actual budget amendment later. So he's put that in there, so that way it shows that we need to move that money still, so.
Right. Yeah, I think what you need to do is let's get through the first 6 months of this year. And when I come back in January, I will have what I think a budget amendment should be for you to cover the expenses as we see them. Because by the time we get 6 months in, we get a pretty good idea where things are going to shake out at. And we can do a budget amendment if we need to cover those expenses. Because the city technically can't spend money that's not budgeted. And we're well under it right now. Obviously, we spent $565. The budget's $1.1 million. So we haven't overspent anything, but at some point during the year, those numbers are gonna cross unless we do a budget amendment. Down below, the second part of this kind of just looks at it in a different way. So your approved budget, you approved the budget, it said it'd be $1.2 million in revenue. And you had 3 categories of expenses: general, police, and fire. So you'd spend $1,179,000, you'd have $76,000 left over. You'd add that to your beginning surplus, and your surplus went up. Currently, the column in the middle, we've collected $464,000 of the 1.2 we think we're going to collect. We've spent $565 so far, so we've spent $100 more than we've collected. It's not good or bad; that's just what it is. So if it stayed that, then our surplus would go from $600 down to $500 to start next year. However, if we project those expenses out, kind of really worst case scenario, then we would spend 299, almost 300,000 more than we brought in, which would be into our surplus. And again, there's nothing wrong in any particular year of spending more than you brought in, because sometimes you have to for projects, but you just can't do that year after year. Obviously, it's just like your home budget. You keep spending more than you bring in, it's going to catch up with you. But again, I don't think the projected is going to be as high as they are now, because there's things again that are in the extrapolation that aren't going to recur. Insurance payments for one thing. So those numbers will be less than that if I can get a better handle on how much less they're going to be. So that's something I'll give you every month. Here's where we're at. Here's where it compares to the budget. Here's how it multiplies out. And then you guys can make decisions on how to manage the city. I think the important thing for you is to look at it like we've got $1.2 million that we're going to collect this year. How do we want to take care of the city with that money? Do we want to spend $1.2 million on fire and zero on everything else? Do we want to spend $1.2 million on police and zero on everything else? We want to spend $1.2 million putting in new sidewalks and zero on everything else? Of course we're not going to do that. But how much of that 1.2 are we going to put in these different buckets to manage the city with? That's how I would look at it. Here is the revenue budget that was approved. To the middle column's at 1.2 down at the bottom with the different categories that come in. We may do a little better than the 1.2, but probably not significantly. There's just not like money out there that's going to fall into our hands. The big categories are your property taxes and your insurance tax. The property tax will probably come really close to the 500,000 because we know what the assessments are and what the rate is. We know how much we're going to collect. The next biggest item is the insurance tax. That's a real unknown because each quarter the insurance companies that have policies in the city send the city checks for the tax on the insurance premiums. But you don't know if somebody changed their policy, if they canceled their policy, if they added a kid to the policy, if they moved out of the city, so you just don't know what you're going to get. That 390 was, I think, pretty close to what we had the prior year. That's why we used that for the budget for this year. But that number could, we can collect another 50,000 on top of that, which would be nice, or it could go the other way by 50,000. But those are two big buckets. Everything else, other than that sale of assets, that third line from the bottom, we budgeted 150. I believe you sold that building for like right at 150, 149,000. So that money will be in our November balances, which will be good. But anyhow, that's where the revenue is going to come from. And for each department, we're going to give you a couple different sheets that shows the accounts down the left-hand side, what they've spent, what was budgeted for those line items, and what's left for those line items. Now, we've done a lot of recategorizing items to try to make it clearer where the money's being spent at, trying to break things out, like things that just say repairs and maintenance, and we broke out fleet maintenance to see what we're spending on vehicles versus other repairs. Used to be one called leases, printers, and something else.
Yeah, leases, printers, and software.
Leases, printers, and software. So we broke out software, we broke out printer costs, we broke out equipment rental costs to try to give you a better idea, again, of where the city's spending the money. So this is police. So that was their spending so far, which would tie back to the numbers on the first page. What they had budgeted, 800,000, what they got left to spend, 522. Another way, and we can do both or whichever one you would prefer, and a different format would be to take those same numbers and kind of group them together. So like your personnel costs, what are we spending on wages, retirement, taxes, benefits? What are we spending on the fleet? What are we spending on insurance? What are we spending on IT, to kind of group them together? I think the important thing is not any particular line on what we've spent, but what we've done and we're going to do overall. As you guys are managing the city from the management level. We'll get 821,000, spent 299, we get 522 left to spend. Or you can look at it, it's the same numbers, but line by line by line. Again, 299 spent, 821 budget, 522 to spend. And again, I just do a little annualization and say, what are we trending towards? So you get these each month for each department. So fire the same way, it's the detail there. Expenses, and they kind of broken out the same way. And their personnel costs, their fleet costs, insurance costs, IT costs. I did this controllable and other. We can, as we go through time, kind of play with these and see what makes the most sense for you. Or if you like one better than the other, we'll just do one or the other. General government, which used to be termed like mayor and council, which really was your general government. That's kind of everything else running the city. So again, their cost, their budget, and what's remaining on them. So they spent 103, budget 195, there's 91 left. And kind of the same format there. So each month, I think you should get how much is in the bank, how much have we spent, how much do we have left to spend, and then the breakdown for each department of where they have spent the money at, and then you can collectively decide how you're going to manage your money and manage your city. So, like I said, the goal is to try to get you information that's accurate, obviously, present in a format that you can do something with, and make it timely so you can make timely decisions with it. In addition to those things, you're also going to get for each department a breakdown of like every check written, who it was written to, what category it got charged to. So if you really want to get into the details, you want to see well what makes up supplies. All right, we wrote a check to ABC Supply Company for $100 on August 3rd, and we wrote another check to XYZ Supply Company. So you'll see every check that was written out of the city, who it went to, what categories it, what departments it in. Again, it's a transparency thing, so that you and the citizens can see how the city uses the tax money that they get. So you get one of those for each department. So you're gonna get a volume of reports from us each month. If you say that's too much, we just want this, we'll do whatever you want to do. But what else did I want to say? I think that's probably it. So, I mean, I just view us as mainly the scorekeepers. We're going to keep score, make sure things are reconciled, make sure things are balanced, make sure things are done right. I think we got a really good system in place now for like bill payment. So every bill that comes in gets scanned in electronically. It routes to Sabrina automatically. She can go and view the invoice. She can click approve or not approve. She can deny it. She can approve it. Once it gets approved, we cut the checks. Megan signs the check, so we get this little separation of duties going on. I think we've done a lot of good things behind the scenes to kind of shore up.
I think the
cities.
timekeeping, I mean, like, there's been a lot of back end work. I mean, like, we went from the old fashioned punch clocks, or I think the PD, they just would break down like how many hours they would have. So we've gone to an actual like payroll system, like a clock in, clock out system, and it's also tracking their sick and their vacation time and all those things that before they really didn't. They had to create a paper system kind of somewhat going on. So this is really going to help with just a lot of just time, but it's been a slow process building because that was a transition to get all the employees clocking in and clocking out, and then he's doing he's taking over the payroll, and then just it's been a process of separating out, and then like he said, allocating out. Like we've taken the postage out from the PD and the fire. We're getting the postage was just being spread across things so we put that into like the general. We took the accounting part out of the PD and the fire, and we're putting that into like just the general or the government account there to try and help some of the department budgets, but also just to get a better understanding so we can see what we're spending on things.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with allocating the way they allocated before. So they would get a postage bill in, and they would say 50% fire, 50% police, or whatever the system was, and that's okay. Through us going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, we thought it was better to take things like postage instead of saying 50% police, 50% fire. They have no control over the postage. They don't spend the postage. It's just get it out of their budget. Let's put it in the general government. It's kind of a general government function.
And a lot of it's going to the utilities, so it was like we send out tax bills, so our general government should pay for some, and then the rest is basically
Should go to the
utility bills.
side
So
because
yeah.
they're paying for most of the postage that goes out of here. We've taken every employee and allocated them across the departments. Now some of them are easy. Police department's 100% police.
Our utilities get to be tricky, and that's
Utilities get to be
changing,
tricky
and yeah.
Public service. So some people in utilities maybe 100% of the water department, where somebody else is going to be 50%.
Yeah.
Water, 50% sewer. Somebody else is going to be 30% in the public works because they're doing some mowing and some sidewalk cleaning and things like that on the city side, but they're also spending a little bit of time in water and sewer. Some of them are spending time in electric, so we've kind of broken out everybody's time to try to get as accurate as we can. So a lot of stuff going on behind to try to get you what you need. So, and next week or next month when we do the utilities, it's gonna be the same thing. We'll show you how much utility money you're sitting on, how much you owe, what we spent, what we still have to spend, what we think we're gonna collect, our collections up or down from the prior year. Utilities going okay. I know what the numbers look like. They look okay. Like they have in the past. The sewer is what you guys have to address at some point. The sewer rates, because that's what drags the utility down. Electric does really, really well. Water kind of hangs in there. Garbage kind of hung in there, and sewer kind of pulls you down. So that's what that's going to look like when we talk about that next month. And in
But
January, we'll put them all together with some budget recommendations.
And some of the general government stuff though, like now we're paying part of, is it Megan's salaries out of
That's coming
that?
out of general government.
Then you've got part of our maintenance department now, because it's not a cost of the water, electric, or the sewer to cut the grass at Veterans Park. That's gotta get funded out of the general fund. We can't keep hiding those expenses in our utilities anymore. So that's the other part of this general government part
Right.
that you guys, like council's gonna have to, that's where he had like slashes where we're spending money there. It's because that money has to come out of the general fund, and it's never been budgeted for. And so council's gonna have to find a way to start budgeting some of these general expenses that are not streets and sidewalks. Sidewalks is a general fund. Lighting for the streets, and that's all general expenses. It's not a utility expense.
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, as you guys go back and forth from these things, as you're trying to figure out how to allocate your money, I think you just gotta realize if we decide, okay, we're gonna take $100 and we're gonna spend it here, then that means we gotta spend 100 less here, right? Because it's not an endless supply of money. So if we wanna spend 20,000 more during this project or this department, have at it, but we need to take the 20,000 from another project or another department to make that work. And the same between utility in general. If you say, well, I think some of that stuff should be utility. Okay, fine. We can take it from general and put it in utility, but now we gotta take something else out of utility because they they don't have an endless supply of money either.
And that's kind of what's happened to the utilities, is because there was things in there. What wasn't happening is, there's nothing wrong, my understanding is you can move profits and revenues in from your utilities to your general fund, but you
Sure.
first have to maintain your system. Like, your system should be supporting themselves. It shouldn't be our sewer plants losing money and the electric supporting our sewer plant. They should all be sustaining themselves, and we should be allocating repairs, the improvements and development down the road. Then anything left over, we can take over to the general fund and spend as extra money. But that's not what was going on. They were just taking it straight from the utilities, and our utilities have not been supporting themselves, and they're not been able to really even do almost basic repairs for some of them.
So that's kind of my spiel to you. That's the numbers. We can get you the hard copies of this stuff, but each month you're gonna get these packages in. It'll be, it'll be kind of voluminous for you, but it'll give you the information I think that you need. If you want something else, we'll get you something else. Like I said, we want to be accurate, we want to be transparent, we want to be quick with it. So, and I think the advantage we have, and when we do this for a living, not only for you, but hundreds of other clients that we do accounting work for, is that we can just be independent scorekeepers. I don't care how you spend the money. I just want the balance and reconcile. You guys can fight up how you're going to spend it, where you're going to spend it. I don't have any dogs in that fight at all. I just want to make sure we got a good scorebook that I'm keeping score with. So.
Will we get this at the first of each month, this report?
Yes, the 10th of the month after the bank statements come out. We have time to get them reconciled.
What do you guys think? Do you like this format better than what they were using before? Do you have suggestions? Are you good with this format that he's going with? Do you have questions?
I like it, because you can see
It
what's
explains it, yes.
what.
Yeah, I think with the old system, it's kind of hard to get the details out of what made up the numbers.
Yeah.
It's just
And
the
then-
limitation of the software.
And then not knowing, it just would tell us, what was left. We didn't really know where it went.
Right.
So,
So this will let you dig into see exactly where every dollar the city went to, which I think you need. So, But again, if you want something else, we'll give you something else. It's your city to run. I just want to provide you the tools to do it with.
Y'all have anything else? Alright.
Good enough?
Thank
Okay.
you so much
Thanks,
for
guys.
coming down.
If you ever need anything, you can get a hold of me.
Yeah.
So go through
Yeah.
Megan. Well, Megan's gonna be.
Oh, yeah.
Megan's
Megan's gonna have her baby.
Yeah.
We can track it.
That's all right. I still know how to get a hold of Paul.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna get out of your way then. Thank you.
That's fine. Thanks for coming down. Right, do we wanna go back, so we also needed to add, that we needed to actually pick an engineer firm.
Marty to get the light.
Marty, can I light back on for us? Do you guys wanna talk about the engineers next, or do you guys wanna talk about department reports? Okay. You guys have any questions about the department reports? Dawn has transitioned up to City Hall to kind of help us while Megan is gonna be on maternity leave. If you guys haven't been in there, they've been working hard to kind of make it look a little festive and things in there for Christmas. I think overall it's going well.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
Training,
Yeah.
she's
She's learning
kind of the,
some of the stuff I do.
yeah, the office front end stuff that she's done, you know, everyone knows this, she's worked for, or with the water and sewer and maintenance for a decade, longer than a
15
decade,
years.
yeah, so she has graciously decided to help us with, so Juanita's not the only person in the office all day, that there will be another person in there with her while Megan's out. And that way we don't have to hire one other person, and then I don't know if she's gonna stay there once Megan comes back. I told Dawn that was up to her if she wanted to go back down to her little cubby hole down at the water plant, but wherever she wanted to go. You wanna tell them about the grant, or do you want me to keep going?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, Megan got us a KLC's 2025 liability safety grant. She completed the application. And we're eligible for up to $3,000, and the application was approved on 9/30/25, so we should be getting the money.
We got the money
We
today.
Yeah, he did, he came
I
and dropped off the
believe
check.
it should be $3,000.
Yeah.
Because we exceeded.
It was a match, so like,
Yeah.
so we can use that, they say we could use that for, yeah, it's a match grant though, yeah, so I think it was
Related.
just, yeah, anything
Yeah.
Use it for what?
liability,
Or
safety
safety
related
related,
things.
yeah.
And there's the utility report, there's the water treatment plant treated a bunch of water. They repaired they almost have that, the lamella thing, you know, the lamella they've been talking about forever, for a hot minute, that hasn't, I don't know when the things worked the last time. They have messed with it for months, and I don't know if they actually got it all put back together and the whole thing's running now, but it's actually gonna be fixed.
Now, that was some kind of filter or line.
It's when you go to the water plant, when you come, so you've got the chemical room, it sits behind there, it's outside, it's like this pool, it's not the pool down the hill, it's just right behind there, and it like settles as it goes from the one building and type thing, yeah, I don't know how exactly it works, but the arms on the bottom that are supposed to keep all the sludge from building
sticking
up
or-
and to
yeah.
drain it out, those arms, I guess, haven't been turning in a long time. So the guys have to drain the whole thing and clean it out every couple months. And it's been a process, and I don't know all the reasons why it wasn't working. I think that at some point somebody put it back together backwards in some capacity, started some of the issue. But Rick Meniere's come down and helped, and they finally, I think, have got it all. They're supposed to be getting the last part in, so the arms will now start working finally. So that was a big thing.
So it kind of keeps things squared out, it's like, okay.
I don't know that much about the process, but
Yeah.
I
Pretty
do
sure.
know.
I'm sure you know
I
more
mean-
than
I
I'm.
mean, what else? I mean, as far as the height, I don't think they replaced any more hydrants this last month.
They filled in the one on Brown Street. Not a hole now.
Yeah, but they have been, I mean, you guys see the list. Do you guys wanna? I don't wanna sit here and read the whole thing. Do you guys have any questions about them, about the department reports?
So I know it's not on our department report, but I know we all received email, so where do we stand with our maintenance supervisor?
I've hired a maintenance supervisor. Joe Williams is now the maintenance supervisor.
So he's acting like temporary maintenance supervisor, or?
He's
He's
taken
hired-
over the
he's
maintenance
taken
for
over.
the, I mean, he's had supervisor experience from Hammer Street. So he's taking over. That really is what's essentially just at some point gonna be the general maintenance and the electric. So he's keeping that. Christian's basically overseeing everything else. Water, collections, distribution, pumps. So
Then you have somebody else in the.
he hired a worker. We hired Rusty,
Robinson.
Robbins, as he's gonna start helping with in the maintenance, and we're gonna hire some more staff. I mean, that was something that needed to get done, at some point anyways, but at this point right now, I think I'm just gonna leave Christian managing my collections, distributions, and the plants for the time being with the help of Joe. Obviously, because they can dig with the streets and do anything like that, but I don't have another option. I'm interviewing to try and fill the other supervisor position that was the plan to begin with, which was the plan before I was even in the seat, was the plan when they hired Christian to come be a supervisor. There was another, they had both plants listed because they were hiring a second supervisor, but didn't get who they wanted and then just kind of didn't move forward with hiring the second one, so. But that's where they're at now, so I mean, they're in good hands. Christian went out and took care of the sewer backup issue they were having on Sycamore Street the other night. I mean, he's going to take his collections test. The next one that the next one available to take is January 30th, and he signed up to take that to get his collections license. So he'll be good to go with the collection side of everything. And for those that didn't know, Joe Williams is a city employee. So it's not, I just promoted him into the supervisor position. Any other questions? You guys want to talk about engineer firms now? You guys want to talk about the employee handbook? I've gone out of order, so I'm trying to get back. Once we get down to the rest, will go in order. I'm just trying to get through the little parts there. I guess we'll go with the employee handbook first. That was a very long discussion today. Megan and I met with two KLC attorneys from 9 a.m. until 3 o'clock. Took like a 30-minute break, went over the entire employee handbook, went over a lot of other questions and things. They are going to basically, a lot of it was basically him coming in and telling us the things that we needed to change. It wasn't like a big discussion on a lot of options on things. There were some optional things that we can go back over when he gives us this next draft of things that's kind of taken out a lot of just the notes and explaining a lot benefit wise. We're looking to add 2 weeks of maternity, paternity, parent time off of whether it's adopting or paternal or maternal leave. Right now we offer no leave. So that's starting, if you guys approve that, was the change we're looking to make. We've changed to the 35 hours. They'd be considered for benefits. The employees, we're not allowed to give Christmas bonuses and gifts, so that's a thing that they learned today. What are some other big things? Oh, we added 2 holidays. We're gonna add Juneteenth and Veterans Day to the holidays. Pay for the guys or the employees working the holidays. I think they getting paid double time, right? Is that what they did? Or is it time and a half for their whole shift? Or the holiday time isn't gonna be just
Holiday's still
8 hours.
Plus time and a half for what you work.
time and a half for what you work for the guys that are actually working on the holiday on top of getting the holiday time.
Yes.
What other changes?
Still
So
a lot.
much stuff.
I think that was really all the big things. Everything else was just.
A lot of it was just explaining the things.
Yeah.
The fleet, we can't limit vehicles on how many counties. You can't discriminate. You just don't, if they're taking a fleet vehicle home, it's because they can respond in a quick time manner. So the fleet thing is, we can't restrict. Doesn't mean everybody gets a vehicle. It's still mayor discretion on who takes home vehicles. Like, it doesn't say that just because you are working, you get vehicles or whatever. Like, it doesn't specify but we can't say that they have to live within so many counties. And you can't say how many miles either. So you can't discriminate that way. That was one thing we learned on the fleet.
That was for the most part. Yeah.
I think that was bigger topics of things that, the other thing about, we did discuss the exempt, non-exempt. It's a little tricky. I mean, there are some employees that we could maybe consider exempt. If you have 2 or more employees answering to you, you're supervising more than 2 employees. Then, like, there's different ways
Then it gets paid overtime.
that they wouldn't be getting overtime. Like, we talked about, like, the assistant police chief, he's overseeing how many people, would that make him eligible to be an exempt employee, non-exempt employee? Because there's big differences in that you don't get any overtime. It cuts that out. So people that are having to respond all the time for overtime because they're a supervisor in a supervisor capacity, that's what he was saying. So he's gonna give us this cheat sheet, this check sheet thing to check to make sure that if there's anybody else, if we needed or wanted to make sure the category's right. The vacation time is staying the same. We're going back to it. There was a lot that went on in the back end when we changed the vacation time the last time. So the vacation time is it's the start of the January 1 is when they're gonna start getting their vacation time again. If you don't give a notice, you're not paid out for any of your sick time at all.
That was any time whatsoever.
Huh. And then based off of how many years is how you get paid out your sick time.
Yes.
Yeah. So like if you haven't been here for 5 years, if you separate, they're no longer going to get their sick time. They get paid their vacation time, but you don't have to pay out the sick time. The sick time's optional. There are flex days. I think they get like 2 just personal days. Those don't get paid out either. Those would be just considered holidays. It's like 2 floating holidays that the employees get to choose. Health insurance, they're basically just, we offer it. We didn't put in there like how much. There's nothing written anywhere that says like how much we're contributing. Like there's no written policy that says we pay 100% of the employee's benefit. There's nothing that puts any of that in writing. So they leave it kind of vague though, just because of the cost of the insurance varies so much. But we do need to look at funding. We need to look at insurance options, especially this year. Our family insurance plan costs $41,000 a year. Like for an employee, one employee that wants to insure his family, it's going to cost him $41,000. And to put it in perspective, the national average is like 21, 27. We're paying 41 to insure a family. Our insurance premiums are ridiculously high, and we're part of this KLC thing. And so that was part of our big discussion today is, why is it, like, if we're all paying into this together now, and they're hoping that now that KLC is doing more of like their own funded thing, that should give them more control somehow, but even our agent that was very unsure if that's really gonna save us anything, because now that our premiums are so high, to try and get people to be competitive to get our premiums lower. But Cynthiana though can offer a family plan at a third of what ours is costing at premium. And like they say it's based off of the old claims that have been submitted previously, and there's like no fall off time. It's not like, you know, with your driving record after so many years it falls off. Like, I guess there isn't. And then the other issue is that we were letting employees make a lot of these decisions. Like, we had employees signing contracts and making the decisions about the health insurance that should have been coming. Like, and that's the other thing in the handbook. Like, it's only the mayor can sign contracts. So no longer can the clerk nobody else can sign contracts. I mean, it was in the handbook before, but like, that's something else that like he went back over, that they can't be doing that. They can't be entering into service contracts. They can't be getting they can't be spending things the way that they were. And then it's, of course, the making decisions, especially about like the health insurance, that should have come for a much bigger discussion on how much council wanted to fund towards the health insurance every year. That was never a discussion. Like, this whole budget thing, that wasn't any part of any discussion we've ever had in a budget discussion. Was to say, hey, look, how much are we gonna fund? Because we, like, none of the budget numbers we ever had before we didn't know how the budget wasn't worked the way it should have been worked before. So we need to start, so they've left that part vague on, it's just that we're offering the insurance. So every year when we go to do the budget, we are going to have to figure out how much are we going to fund for these employees, whether it be like the employee part, the employee child part, employee family plan, like, so that's something you budget in. So they leave it vague so that you don't lock them in. I think that was for the most part a lot of it. Overall, like, it wasn't a bunch of bad stuff. It was just cleaning up the language, taking a lot of stuff out.
Yeah.
And just kind of really shortening parts of it.
So they're gonna work on trying to help us with get lower rates on our insurance?
I have a question about that. I know that our employees are like funded through we send money to the state of Kentucky for the retirement, right?
Mm.
I mean, we do it through KPPA.
Yeah, but that's where it actually ends up, right?
Yeah, we pay them directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do they have anything like that for insurance, like the teachers?
I don't know. So see, we joined in with all the other cities and went in with this. We pay KLC the premium.
Yeah.
They link in with these local agents, so we get our local agents. PEI, is that it?
Yeah, public
Like
entity
something.
insurance, I think.
And so those are the local agents. So I talked to the local agent already, and then when I met with KLC today, because I knew there was the KLC flip side, so I was trying to figure out more like, well, what are the other cities? Like, how are we the ones kind of dealing with this? And he was a little shocked about how high ours is. But so we have a Jessica Graves maybe, is our KLC rep for Northern Kentucky. So I had put an email out to her today too. I mean, there's nothing that can be done until July. I mean, like, until we do the renew period, and we have no idea what that would even look like. But like, even so, the second part of the memo, like the options, even with a high deductible plan, at a $6,000 family deductible, it was still going to cost the employee $2,800 a month to insure their family. On the family plan, with the $750 deductibles, which was what they're offering now, basically, it's $3,400 a month to insure a family. There's something way wrong. Way wrong and way off. I don't know what the fix is, and they're saying it's because of the previous claims. I don't even understand how it got to that. But it's always just been, well, the city can't afford it. Anytime, that's when we discussed the family plan, and we were trying to push to get, we were wanting us to pay for some portion of a family or employee child something. It's just that they can't afford it. Well, that really just can't be an option. We're not retaining, we're missing out on like an age group of a younger, like middle-aged family age group when you're not offering family insurance. And people need insurance for their kids, because I'm gonna tell you who insures most of the employees' kids for the city. You know who's paying for that? Your state tax dollars, because they're on state insurance, because we don't offer affordable insurance to our employees. And it's not that, like, it's. But I mean, $41,000 a year. I don't know if you guys know exactly what we're paying these people, but I'm gonna tell you, there's not. That's pretty much the whole yearly salary for some of those utility employees. So they're gonna get us another draft of this handbook. He said probably closer to around the Christmas. He's hoping to catch up by Christmas, so he's kind of backlogged a little bit. But then in January, he's gonna come here and meet with council and present it all to you. But so we have some more time to kind of go back and forth. So when he gets us his next draft, if you guys wanna look over that kind of stuff, buckle down, anything you wanna ask or things you wanna change, he'll be here sometime in January. Then we're gonna try and get him. We might have to call a special meeting for his schedule's sake or whatever to get it done, but we'll have him come in and go over that part. So that's all I have on the update with the employee handbook.
And a lot of those changes, I'm assuming, were like federally mandated things.
A lot of the stuff is just stuff that needed to change because and it wasn't a whole bunch of things. You just needed updated and
Because I had
cleaned up.
been through a lot of them years ago.
Alright, so we're gonna jump back into the engineering firm. What did you guys think there?
It's hard. Decide.
I think they both sound more than qualified.
No,
I
I'm
mean,
sure.
They both
Yeah.
seem pretty experienced, especially with the sewage and water and everything like that. They both seem pretty knowledgeable in that sector, which is kind of a big thing for us.
I'm surprised that Summit didn't have it 40 employees.
Yeah.
Odd.
It's a small Kentucky firm, basically, is kind of, I guess how they started out, like in the Pikeville areas where they started, so I'm talking about the mountains of Kentucky, and so that might be, they were more centralized there than they went to Lexington, but no, I mean, I think it's just a smaller one. They brought Mark over, I guess he's bringing the clients, like he comes with a vast knowledge of a lot of utility infrastructure stuff, but
I think before we dive head first, I think we need to find out what their rates are. I mean, they're each gonna have a different, rate for what they do, and we didn't really discuss that. And I think that's something that we need to know before we make a decision.
why didn't you guys ask that? I'm just gonna be honest, I mean, like, why didn't y'all ask that?
I think they should have proposed that to us. Like,
But
I mean,
it's hard
kind of
because
sad.
it's not an hourly rate, more or less.
It's not.
It's project based, so like it's gonna be based off of, like, so when we do the lagoon project, when they put that together, like that was already like built into the guest estimation that we had anyways. So I think that's a lot of it's project, like what we move forward on. If they're gonna put we have the projects, we're trying to get the funding. I think a lot of that's built
It's a
in.
percentage. I figured
But I
that's
don't know
what
if
it
I don't know
was.
how all of it is. I don't know how they would work all that.
And I think we should reach out and say, we're trying to move forward, we're just interested in what.
Okay, I can get a price breakdown for them. I can ask for the prices, then I can you send them an email and then see what they say, and when's our next meeting? December 4th.
Be on a Saturday.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
No, I can see if we can get an answer from, maybe we'll just call a special meeting then and pick one next week, cause we've got funding projects that they need some help with. So we're gonna email, get prices, circle back. Okay, moving on then to your ordinances. Go ahead, Steve, you're up.
Let me get to it here.
So this is a ordinance for the city of Falmouth, ordinance number 2025-14, an ordinance amending section 3503 of the Code of Ordinances of the city of Falmouth, Kentucky, to increase the minimum staffing of the police department to include the police chief and 6 officers. This legislation, it set out in section 1, you can see where the changes are. The bolded words are the ones that will be added, and the things that will be taken out have strike-throughs on them. And this is a second reading. And there's only 2 changes. One's a typo and the other is just add police chief and 6 officers, all in section A.
So I proposed this ordinance, a couple weeks ago. Since then, I've reached out to multiple citizens, some business owners, just kind of get their input on it, because I do know that, we have budgeted for the amount of officers proposed in the ordinance change. However, moving forward, I don't think that this should be a permanent fix by no means. I think moving forward, it would be smart for us to try and work with the county and try and explore options to lessen the burden of the cost of police on us. However, for the time being, until we can get something set up, I think for the safety of the officers, for the safety of the citizens, I think that it's just a no-brainer. I mean, we ask these officers to come in and, they look out for the citizens, they put their lives on the line, I think that the least that we can do is say, hey, we see you guys need help, how can we help you? Let us help you out. If it wasn't already budgeted, it would be a completely different discussion.
So,
When we put the budget out, we budgeted for Matt, the officer that had left. He was budgeted into their budget. So this by no means should affect, and actually it'll, kind of help with where they're currently trending with overtime. This will cut that back. It won't cut it back immediately, but it will cut it back. There is time to get an officer into the academy and get them trained, but I do think that, this is probably, and some of the citizens that I've talked to agree, it's looking out for the safety of the officers. I know everybody likes to say, well, you got Pendleton County Sheriff they can fall back on, and we've got KSP, and we do. However, if KSP is busy with other calls, obviously they're busy with other calls. If the sheriff's department is busy with other calls, they have the whole rest of the county to cover. So if you have 1 or 2 sheriffs on, but the sheriffs are, out almost at the Grant County line, they're out on the AA. It takes them a while to respond into city limits. So while we might have 1 officer down here you know, and say it's a domestic situation or something, you know, something that could be a potentially dangerous situation, whether it is a confirmed dangerous situation after the fact, beforehand, you don't know. And I don't feel it's right to say, well, sorry about your luck, just, you know, they'll be here in 30 minutes. I think it's, you know, it's smart of us to allow our officers the opportunity to have another officer within, you know, probably 3 minutes at most, being within the city limits. I mean, minutes are everything, seconds are everything. What's 30 minutes versus 3 minutes? Worst case scenario. That's why I propose this. And like I said, it's not a permanent fix. I do think we need to explore options to try and lessen the police budget and lessen the burden on the city and explore options possibly with the county. However, until that happens, I don't feel it's right for us to put the officers at any more risk than what they already deal with.
So you're thinking hiring a 6th officer is gonna get us 2 officers on duty 24/7?
It has the potential to, yes.
I thought we were just trying to get 24/7 coverage with 1 officer on duty at least 24/7. So one more officer is gonna get us 2 officers 24/7 coverage. And my other question is, can we afford it?
It was budgeted.
No, let me let's back up a little bit.
So
When
when
we
we made
set
the
the
budget,
budget- no, when
yes, when we set the budget,
we said-
Matt was an officer.
No, but
correct?
hold on, when we set the budget, we all knew that those budget numbers, we didn't know what they really consisted of, what made up the revenues, how accurate that was, how accurate any of the expenses were. We all knew that. Unless somebody else, even my department heads knew that. We knew that we were setting that budget to set the budget because we were gonna have to amend it after we got the treasurer in and cleaned it all up. Like, this has been a process. And like, we're almost there. And Paul kind of came in, there's other things that you guys saw that we're gonna have to be budgeted out of this general fund, because if not, you're gonna have a lot of grass growing at Veterans Park this summer, because it's not the expense of the water, the electric, or the sewer plant to cut grass at Veterans Park, to maintain the streets, maintain the sidewalks, to fund any of that. And that's what's been going on. And so, like, we're not gonna be able to pay, if you didn't notice, we don't have a balanced budget right now, because these things have never been budgeted for in the general fund, and they have to be now. We can't continue to steal from, so my question is, can we afford it?
So when Maddox brought up, not today in their presentation, it was, I want to say it was 3 months in, I think is when they brought up, and they brought up the 3 month spending, and they brought up where everybody was trending at that 3 months and what had been spent and everything. And when we looked at that, the PD was on course. They were at, I think, 73% of their budget remaining, which was dang near spot on what we had budgeted, and Matt was still an officer
No,
at
I
that
get
time.
that, and I sat down with myself, Chief Hart, Assistant Chief Timon, and with Brody. And we sat down in Maryland, and we went over every part of this budget. And then, like, in the new budget number proposals, because we line item basically his budget. And in that, like, we have $7,000 that was going towards, like, the training and stuff. They've already spent that for this. So now they're gonna need more in there. So, like, the little bit of wiggle room, like, I don't think there's enough wiggle room to hire another officer. And then here's the thing, it's not gonna get us any more coverage, because he can't be alone. If we're sending someone to the academy, it's gonna be a year and a half before they're patrolling by themselves. So it's doing nothing to better the coverage. It is giving somebody with them. And I empathize, and I'm not trying to be cruel or mean or say that they don't deserve this. And I'm just being practical at the end of the day, that we can't afford it. And it's not that I'm not hiring somebody, because I just don't wanna hire somebody, and this is exactly why I posted the job on the city administrator, because if we're gonna start having the mayor fill the positions by the ordinance is set, then we need to fill the positions that are already in the ordinance. And so, I mean, I know we're not gonna have enough money to hire a manager for their base, like the administrative part of it, and hire another officer and still fund those things in the general fund. Like, and nobody's not hiring another officer, not to be mean, and then but to change it into, I mean, put it into an ordinance to try and force it. I mean, I thought it was very counterproductive, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was, I mean, because I thought we had a pretty lengthy discussion on where we were gonna go forward with this, and after we looked at the budget numbers and see for sure if we could afford this or not, the city overspent drastically last year, drastically. We can't afford to keep doing that. We're gonna have no surplus. And as long as I'm sitting in the seat, I'm not bouncing checks. And I'm holding them to try and stay within a budget. And the whole issue with the PD budget when we set it, last year it was $770,000 the year before. It shouldn't have increased more. It was supposed to have to increase to like over 900,000, but with Kyle leaving, we got it down to the 821. With Matt leaving, but we picked up a code enforcement officer along the way. Like there are other things in expenses, like their body cameras, that equipment rental. I mean, they're paid, last year's invoice didn't get paid. It's like $10,000. It's $14,000 that they owe for this year. Like there are expenses. When we have a fleet, the general insurance for that department is $54,000 a month for your general liability insurance. Is a huge part of that, because everyone has their own vehicle. Every vehicle is a couple $1,000s a year in premiums. We're insuring liability out at the firing range. Work comp liabilities, $24,000 a month alone in that. There's a lot of cost, and then the training. I mean, come January 1, they're all due for their 40-hour-a-week training again for this next year. Part of that's gonna have to fall into this fiscal year. And so they've gotta, like, with the budget they have, they've gotta send all the officers they have now, essentially, within the next 12 months, starting January, they've all gotta go to Fort, and that's every year they go to that training. So, I mean, like, council can vote how they want. You guys can do a second and vote for it. All I'm saying, and I don't know if we have a number, and if I don't know, I'll be honest, I don't know if you guys have the authority to put it in the ordinance to force me to hire a 6th officer, and it doesn't say anything about full-time. I mean, I could kick officers down to part-time, and we'll just have 8 part-time officers and a chief. Like, I'm not doing this to be mean. I'm just trying to make sure we stay within budget and try and sort things out before we start overspending, because I don't want to have to lay anybody off. I don't want to get to the end of the year. I don't want to get to April and us be like, oh, well, crap, we couldn't afford it. My bad. Because that's what happened last year. We hired officers at the end of the year. They're $300,000 over budget. We're still hiring people? Like, I don't want to get in that situation. So you guys can motion and vote or whatever you guys
Code enforcement.
discuss more.
Code enforcement gets paid out of the PD as well.
Yeah.
Right.
By
So-
ordinance, only a code enforcement officer or a police officer can enforce our codes. I went to Marty and them and I asked them.
Yeah.
Before that, because there was no code enforcement officer. Steve Groh quit after I took over. They had the option to do the code enforcement, and it wasn't something that Marty made the decision that we were gonna put it out.
So did that code enforcement officer, did they get a pay increase then from the previous code enforcement officer?
What do you mean, pay wise?
Yeah.
I don't even know what
Are
the
they
other guy was
making more than
making.
what the previous code enforcement officer was?
I don't even know what the other guy was making, honestly. I don't know.
I think, wasn't much.
Yeah, I have no idea what he was making, and I don't even know if he was being paid out of their department before. He is now, because that's the way it is in our ordinance, so that's where it's supposed to come out of. But I mean, the code enforcement needed to get done, and I waited a few months, and I think our code enforcement officer is doing a great job doing what he's doing, because our police don't essentially want to drive around enforcing codes.
Yeah, no, I understand that, I'm just asking a question.
But no, they were aware of that before that we hired the code enforcement officer. They knew it was coming out of the budget and it could put up, like, it was a discussion, but it was a choice that was made.
And then have we explored any options with the PD for, utilizing any of their ABC money? to lessen the burden on their,
There's
Well,
very
for
strict
general
things
fund.
that the ABC
oh
money
yeah,
can be
there is,
spent on.
but have we
Yeah, and
explored them
we-
options?
Well, we can discuss options, but that AB, funding them out of the ABC fund should not, what council's done is council said they get to spend $24,000 this year. Council didn't say, that means, hey, go figure out ways to get money out of the ABC fund. If council wants to fund some of that $821,000 from ABC funds, and not all of it from the general fund, I think like Timon's salary, a portion of that can be taken out, and so we can fund that way to try and get some money back in our general fund, but it doesn't give them more money at the end of the day. And like, I mean, like,
Well,
we can't
less
make,
money coming out of the general
but
fund
you have
at the
one,
same
you
time.
have Timon. Timon's the only person over there, Timon and Maryland, that can get any part of that ABC stuff. And it's only a portion of stuff they're buying for those two can come out of that, cause they're not 100% ABC. Just like if we were gonna buy a cruiser, and we wanna buy a Nicken cruiser, maybe we take 20% out of ABC, the other 80's gotta come out of the general fund, because that's not 100% an alcohol ABC car.
Yeah, but it's still not 100% out of the general.
No, but I'm saying, so that little bit, like, I don't think you're gonna
Well,
get
we're
as
still
much.
saving a little bit if we utilize that money, is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm getting at. So why are we not utilizing that at all?
Did
That
council
should be
budget for
utilized.
them to, has council budgeted them for them to spend any of it? Yeah.
Well, who else can spend ABC money?
But it still has to be budgeted. You can't just say, here's the money, go spend it. Who's approving what they're spending? Who's approving anything to come out of there? I mean, does council not wanna know?
Who allocates the ABC money to the city? How do we get ABC money?
Oh, I mean, we pay, like businesses will pay their alcohol tax.
Yeah.
Through us,
And
if
then-
that's your
Yeah,
question.
and then that comes to us through taxes.
Yeah, yeah, it's an alcohol tax.
Okay, so does,
Based on sales.
so does that get reflected into the general fund
No,
at all?
it's in that separate
So
account.
it's
It's completely separate in an
completely
ABC account. It
So-
cannot, and you have to, and here's the thing.
Yes, but
If you're
so
gonna go
that
spend
money
from
is
it-
never budgeted, or how does it
My-
get
my-
spent? How have we spent it previously?
They thought they spent a lot of it last year, and in hindsight, thank God they didn't, because they can't buy 7 or 8 desktop computers on ABC funds. There was so thank God a lot of the spending that was supposed to that they thought was coming out of the ABC fund last year did not come out of the ABC fund. I think that if we want to explore those options more, I've already reached out to Morgan Patterson, and she has given me the name of another person within KLC that's a guru in the, but it is very stringent, she said, on how we can spend it.
Oh, no, I
And if you
understand.
get caught spending it on things you're not supposed to, you can get in big trouble, like they'll come pull your ABC license.
Oh, no, I understand that,
So-
but all I'm saying is if we can spend $20 out of ABC, that's not $20 out of general.
No, but like, but a cost of an officer, let's just put this out there too, so, a cost of an officer that we're paying about, let's say, $28 an hour, how much do you think that costs the city an hour?
Well, it costs more than $28 an hour, obviously, because you have other expenses with it. You have insurance, you have, you know, your regular insurance, you got unemployment insurance, you've got retirement that you're paying into.
The
You've
work
got a
comp,
lot
the
of other
vehicle, they
expenses.
get a laptop, they need a body camera, they gotta go to training, they got, but it just, I mean, in general though, almost just in payroll and insurance alone for things for the city, you're looking at like $50 an hour, you're looking at $100,000. With all the benefits, like it's expensive. So saving $20, $30 out, I mean, like you saw how much is in the ABC fund.
$160,000.
Yeah, that's not every year that we get. That's not. That's because they haven't been spending that. So getting $20, $30 out of there is not going to come close to being able to fund a whole officer. But I can continue to work with KLC to find out the correct ways to budget and
I think
spend
that-
out of that.
I think that would
But
be
I don't think
different.
that would be enough of a cushion for them to go ahead and jump into hiring another officer.
No, I'm just saying it will definitely lessen the burden.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, like I said, if you can save $50 out of general fund by using ABC fund, it's smart to utilize ABC.
how
That
about
way
this?
it's not coming out of general fund.
You
I
could
get what
even,
you're
you
saying.
could get with Morgan, and you guys, and then bring it back to your budget committee and discuss it with them on ways to fund things out of the ABC fund. That would be a perfect thing for you guys. That would be great for you guys to do. Why don't you look and get with Morgan Patterson at KLC? I can forward you the email where she gives me the other email, and then you can get that and then take it to your budget committee and discuss ways to budget out of the ABC fund for things.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We
Okay.
can do that. I can
That
do
sounds like a great idea.
I have another question.
Okay.
Does any of that ABC money have to be transmitted to the state or?
I don't think so.
No,
It
it's,
stays here?
yeah, it's ours.
Okay.
It's a weird license. It's a state level license, but it's also a local license. They administer a certain amount locally. And then I believe everything's paid through the state, kind of like a centralized collection.
Yeah.
And then
They-
it comes back down to the local. So what's ours in that account is ours. It doesn't. We don't pay out. They pay down. If that makes sense.
I know we live in Falmouth and we have, in a town, you have extra perks than you do in a county. So we do need a strong police force.
But we also need streets and sidewalks. We need lights. We need,
And I would love to have 10 officers.
Yeah.
But we just, I'd hate to have an ordinance saying that we have to have a police chief and 6 officers. I mean, what if it comes to the point where we can't afford that?
Ordinances can always be amended.
yeah, but
That's
this,
not, like I said, I think moving forward, we definitely need to start looking at getting with the county and trying to lessen the burden of.
oh, I agree. I mean, like if,
For sure.
like we could even go to the sheriff's office and say, hey, for $500,000, you want to take over the coverage for that would save us $300,000. I don't know. I mean, like I think the long-term goal plan, whatever, is to do a countywide police department. But again, why is the county going to go reinvent another police department when they have a sheriff's office?
Because sheriff's office and the police office.
But they are. Other cities contract with their sheriff's office for police coverage. So why would they need to go create a whole county department? Then why don't we just go start the discussion with the sheriffs?
I mean, we could, if you want to go that route. I mean, the sheriff's department and the police departments are two different entities.
But at least it would be better though maybe for at least so the sheriff's elected by the people. If not, if you're talking about a police chief or a county police chief or whatever, I mean that's just going to be what the judge exec and the mayor, whoever's on that board, their buddies, and whoever's going in that seat. Or would you like the public to vote for the sheriff and they man the whole police department for the county? I mean, I think it's not a quick fix. It's nothing we can go force on anybody. But if you want to go start, I mean, I don't know why everyone wants to wait for a countywide police department. I don't know if going to the sheriff would spark the countywide thing. I don't know. More all I know is we need to get through this budget year, and I mean, like we can't force or make them help us in that regard.
And that decision's up to your local officials. You can have, for example, Boone County, you have the Boone County Sheriffs, and they're the general police for the vast majority of the county, and then Florence is there's 2 departments in that whole county. Florence Police only does Florence. In Kenton County, you have the Kenton County Sheriffs that do the basic constitutional functions of the sheriff's office, and there's county police there. So you can.
There's different
just
ways
whatever
to
you guys
mold
wanna
it
do.
around, and then even if we go in with the sheriff, the fiscal court has to approve that. Like, it's not like we can just go over to the sheriff, and I mean, like, either way, if we do anything with the county, it has to go through the county, so then I think it would really depend on the county if they want to put the front end money to create a whole nother police department, or if they're just gonna fund their sheriff's department more, I don't know.
Wouldn't hurt to talk to them.
Huh?
I said it wouldn't hurt to talk to them.
No, it wouldn't.
We're not getting that.
I mean, I can go start talking to Jared and seeing if that would even be something he'd be interested in entertaining. But, you guys wanna do a second and vote on this motion? You guys wanna talk about it more? You guys wanna not do a second and not vote and move on, or? I don't get to make a decision, I'm just sitting here, so you guys tell me what we're doing.
I think we should move on.
I think we should too.
Okay. So no second.
Move on.
Did they-
So if there's no second, the motion would fail for lack of a second. Or somebody could, if you wanna bring it back another month, somebody could make a motion to table, or, and then come back to it later.
I'll make a motion to table and revisit this later.
Does anybody wanna second that motion? Or do you wanna let that one go too? Okay, we're gonna move on to the resolution on this, whatever the sink soda is, yeah.
So the next resolution is, or I guess the first resolution, resolution number 11.20.25-1, a resolution expressing support for the Pinellas County Flood Mitigation and Flood Plan Sink Initiative and authorizing collaboration in pursuit of funding opportunities. This resolution relates to the conversation from last council meeting, discussing the sinkhole and putting the $11,000 into the sinkhole plan. This does not contain an appropriation. We can't do an appropriation through a resolution, but what we are doing is showing support for that program so they can go ahead and start making those applications and get everything in the works. The understanding is that at some point we're going to have a budget amendment and we would include it all in there. We can't, even though we received the grant funds, we need to reflect that on our books. And then we need to have council appropriate that spending towards the program. So we can, depending on when Tammy needs the money or when Tammy wants to see that money actually come through, we can be nimble with that. It's just easier for all of us to do one amendment at one time rather than do a whole bunch of them over the course of the year.
Okay, cause every time we do an ordinance amendment, which is what it takes for the budget, you have to publish that in the Outlook. And our Outlook bill this year is it's getting out there. So yes, if we could maybe amend the budget one time this year, so we can save it for them.
And this just needs a motion and a second and a vote to pass.
I'll make a motion to express support for the Pinellas County Flood Mitigation and Flood Plans.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor?
Yes.
Alrighty, we didn't do a committee meeting tonight because we interviewed, 2 engineer firms. Council comments, anybody?
What's leaf pickup gonna be? Do we know?
That has already started.
What do you say?
They've
That's already
done,
started. It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. They started, I think, 2 weeks ago.
How long ago?
They haven't done it this week.
They went out today.
Okay,
They didn't go yesterday because it rained a lot and they were all kind of right.
okay, good.
I
So
wanna
they can go
say,
tomorrow?
and that's another thing
Maybe.
that, well, how do other cities do their leaf pickup? Cause that's another thing, the truck, the dump truck that leaf thing sits on is old.
Some cities don't do it at all.
Old.
Right.
That's the only thing we really use this old dump truck for. So to replace it, and we have that newer dump truck, and then we have and it won't fit on the newer dump truck. It only fit on the other older dump truck we have, but you have to have a CDL to drive it. It's the big dump truck. And to get a new leaf sucker thing, that it's very expensive. Like they're really expensive. I don't know if maybe we should start looking at maybe what other cities are doing for leaf pickup. If there's other options for leaf pickup, I don't know.
I hope not.
I mean, you can make a bag.
It's gonna be a couple hundred. It's like that replacing that whole leaf. You're looking at $100,000 is what they've said about getting. Like I don't know where in the general fund that would be coming out of because it's not an expense for my water, sewer, or the electric. So it's a general fund expense.
That it does work right now?
It does work, yeah, so I'm not, this year, we're gonna get through this year, I'm just saying, because the other thing that I did kind of talk to the maintenance about, is look into, some of their vehicles are getting older. We could look at maybe downsizing some of the fleet, there's a lot of their trucks that kind of sit, and that was one of them, was the only thing they have that big dump truck for is just that leaf pickup, and that leaf machine, I guess the dump truck's getting close to its last legs, and the leaf machines, I guess they're always having to take them to get fixed all the time or something. So like it's getting, they're kind of well beyond their time, and I don't know if, I don't think the city wants, unless the city wants to pony up $100,000 to replace that stuff. maybe we should look at other options, whether it be bagged, whether it be, I don't know what the other options are. I don't want all the residents to start freaking out because I do know that people really enjoy the service. We just need to start looking at options for that service if we want to extend that service much longer.
I cut a lot of trees.
I'm just saying. But they should be out picking up leaves.
Should be. I don't know if they'll go to Morrison's adjustment to that.
How often do they pick up these? What,
Supposed
they
to
do
be
it 3 days a
Wednesday.
week?
Yeah, Monday,
How
Wednesday,
many hours do
Friday.
they spend
Monday,
sucking up
Wednesday,
leaves?
I guess they just drive through real fast.
My driveway was full of leaves today.
They skipped you.
Out front, I had them in the ditch, and then the water came and it drew right in front of my driveway.
Okay.
And they're all over town, everybody's kept their leaves.
No, I know
There.
that. No, I know that. I'm just like, it don't rain a bunch the other day. But they were supposed. I didn't realize they were picking it up 3 days a week.
I don't think they did it they didn't even do it last week.
Well, I think it was broken.
I think
for
the
a minute.
truck was broke last week.
I know it was 2
Yeah.
weeks
It
ago.
broke at some point.
See?
That's it.
It's a constant. It's a thing. Any other? I'm about to kick back to him, so I want to make sure that, is there anybody else that has anything to say? I was gonna give
Ron,
them.
did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'm going that way. I was making sure before I give it to him that nobody should, because Mr. Moreland, go ahead.
Well, my question didn't get answered because I just came here. But Mayor, councilmen and women, Ron Moreland, a couple things I wanted to say. And number one, I want to thank each of you for taking on this responsibility for the citizens of Falmouth. I'm guessing, but I would say each of you took the job because nobody else would. And I can't see anybody really wanting the job, put that much effort into it. And right now, I know you're getting a lot of heat on Facebook and stuff like that. And what I can tell is people don't even live in Falmouth. And as far as I'm concerned, if they talk about corruption and all that, if they know about it, go to the county attorney, put out a lawsuit, bring it to head, quit talking about it. I get tired of reading, but I can't, anything on Facebook I don't hardly believe anyway, because I'm not too good at that. But the main thing, I think we're gonna have to, if we're gonna improve Falmouth, we're gonna have to do it on our own. We can't rely on grants. I think with the government we have nationally, there's gonna be fewer grants available, and you're competing against much larger groups. Any you get, they're just a handout because everybody else in line has got those grants, so to speak. And so I want to compliment you, and I'm totally in agreement. I think we need a city manager in the worst way. Now, I came to early meetings, and I remember the mayor saying, something was said in gist or whatever, I don't have a vision. That's got me thinking, so I've been thinking about, ever since then, what my vision would be for Falmouth. And I've got 4 or 5 visions, but the number 2 vision was a city manager. Now, Crestwood Hills, they're just a little bigger enough, they got a city manager.
Mm-hmm.
A city manager carries out the day-to-day operations. Now, I know each of you has got a job. Joyce is, of course, retired. You got families, you got your own life, you don't have the time to research. In my 30 years of business, I learned more from fellow people, fellow comrades who were in the same business. We had a group that met in northern Kentucky once a month. We met at 11 o'clock at night after everybody closed their store. And talking to them, we learned more about running our business than anywhere else. And then on the state level, state conventions, conferences, I mean, you learn how people have done things. And one of them talked us on the witness going way back to get a computer. Well, after we got it, we don't know how we did without it before. But trick is going to be to get the right person, man or woman, for the job. You need one that wants to do a good job, and hopefully, when you have a council meeting, one of those persons would probably have a lot of things that's put on the schedule and already have an answer for you. Of course, you can take it or leave it, but he or she hopefully has already researched up and down. So I've got some of the other visions I had. I guess at the caucus meeting, would that be the place to really discuss things like that, or?
We did away with our caucus meetings. We are doing regular meetings a month now, so that way we're not having to wait so we can try and move things along quicker. But so we kind of discuss anything at the regular meeting
When we talk
time.
about things, does it have to be done in an open meeting?
Mm-mm. We have committee meetings too.
At 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock that we have
Oh, okay.
committee meetings, so it's smaller groups and you can
Okay.
just go.
Every Thursday we're meeting, not every Thursday.
I'll bring a couple of my thoughts,
Yeah,
and it's all my opinion, and I may be wrong, prove me wrong, just like I said about, talking about corruption and all, fine, if you're saying that, prove it.
Yeah.
It's one thing to work your mouth, but most of the time if you're anything at all, you'll back it up. That's my opinion. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morley.
I wanna hear the rest of it. I'm serious, I wanna hear the rest of your vision. I wanna hear the rest of your visions. What are the rest of your visions?
Oh, well, I've learned next week.
Why not now?
Well, the main one, we're talking about money. It all gets down to money, no matter what you're at. I've been here 60 years. We've gone through 15 mayors in that time. And I can honestly say there has not been any improvement in 60 years. I'll keep trying to do it the same old way. Because every mayor that comes in, whether they're even qualified or not qualified, it'll take them a year and a half to learn even the inner workings of the job. And then they don't last, and some don't up for re-election. In fact, the last 5, it's just been one term. And just like if we have a councilman who quits, moves, or elections, that's where your city manager would come in. He would educate the new mayor on all the things that are going on.
It would keep the city flowing regardless of what's going on here. Yep.
Bringing a council member up to date.
Mm-hmm.
And if a council member had expertise in some area, he could work with the, easy enough. But the big thing that I think of, the county has opened up for us. 25 years ago, this is probably mine, it was in the Outlook, the 25-year-old section, they passed the payroll tax thing.
Oh, yeah.
And Jim Roseberry, a fellow my age, voted against it because they didn't charge the businesses, any of the businesses, and he voted against it. And I thought the same way.
Yeah.
So here we are today, we're stumbling along. We charge employees, a lot of them making minimum wage, employees here, but the big guys that are making the big bucks pay $50 to do business. I think all the $2 generals, they pay $50 to do business in Falmouth. And somebody said, you got 2 of them in Falmouth? I said, yeah. Well, you gotta think, those outfits do a survey, they know that they can support 2. If they don't, they close up, sell a little, and move on. In fact, I got on the bank the other day, they do not 4 banks, county. They do absolutely nothing for us. The big thing, who's brought my water, the big thing is none of them provide any leadership whatsoever. All those people making money, hand and right, you don't see them on the volunteers in the fire department. And if you go to them for something, we're having a golf outing, you go to them for sponsor a hole for $100, you don't get it. In fact, I'm changing banks for that very same reason. Heritage is the only one that halfway helps the community. I had conversation with the, my bank, so, and I stayed with that bank because there used to be the old Falmouth Deposit Bank downtown, and it sold, the next one sold, and I stayed with it. But I told her I was gonna be moving. Y'all don't do a thing in the county, period. Oh, we serve food to the needy downtown once a year or something. I said, God bless America. And I said, I got a CD, I'm moving that CD out there when it comes due. I moved my account too, but I don't wanna go through all the direct deposits. But they did, and I don't know whether they pay anything at all. They used to be local banks paid on number of shares. They pay absolutely nothing.
I don't think that,
Do they have a business license?
I think that's the only thing that they
Oh,
have is the
they have
business
the
licenses.
business license.
Because we don't even do payroll tax and we don't do the net profits tax either.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know that's what you were
So that's
going towards.
239 cities in Kentucky have a net profits tax. 39 cities have a gross income tax. The county didn't do it, so it leaves the city open to do it. Now, don't want to do it haphazardly. We want to get every damn one of those trucks that come in delivering every day. We got, you know, I mean, Craig knows, your Kroger up and down the street every day.
Oh, yeah.
You got all the Amazon.
Amazon delivery.
You got every energy drink trucks coming in. They should be paying, just like the driver is supposed to be paying to the county the payroll tax.
Yeah.
But his employer is paying nothing. He drives into town, makes a delivery, 2 or 3 of them maybe, and he's gone. So if it even do that at all, I said we need to learn from other people that's went through it. Now, I looked up Dawson Springs, Kentucky is exact same.
I was gonna say, they think they're, are they tied with us or they're right neck and neck with us on size wise, aren't they? Population wise, I think we're like
Exact
tied
same.
with them. Yeah,
Exact same.
yeah.
And they're supporting a 350 pupil school, just like Augusta is supporting a 300 plus student school besides everything else. And as I say, I haven't looked at all of them. The highest net profits tax, pardon me, is Lexington at 2.05. A lot over 1% or whatever. But like McDonald's out here, they got 5 stores in Lexington. They're paying 2.05 on their net profits, every one of those stores. So it's not gonna make it different. And then also, we need to get the owners of the rents. Now, I understand there's 1,900 houses. I don't know whether that includes like apartment buildings or not. But 26% is rental property.
I think it's more than that. I think it's more rental property than there are private owners now.
Well,
yeah.
The one place I looked at,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
what I saw.
Okay.
So if somebody's not living in the house and they're renting, that's a business. They should pay them 2%, whatever you put up. Those trucks that come in here, every one of them should take. Need to find out, get everybody that's draining all our money out. I mean, that's my opinion. I had a couple others in mind, but I can't talk it, so I'll stop there.
No, you're fine. No, I appreciate it. I hope you come back
Me
on
too.
the committee meeting and we can go over more of your visions. Do we have anything else? Any other comments? We'll go to announcements. Large trash pickup is November 24th. And then also, if anybody has any free time this Saturday, we will be down here painting and decorating some more for the Hugo. I don't know if you guys saw some of the wood cutouts that one of our volunteers and her son did the wood cutouts for us, and we stuck more. Lindy's been down here volunteering all kinds of time. And
Would love your all's help.
yes, and Michelle from and Michelle Hamilton's been down here, and Joyce has been down here, and we've had several people down here helping. But if anybody has some time, we'll be painting somewhere this weekend. At some point, we gotta get the trees down and start getting all this other stuff done, but any help would be greatly appreciated. Or any other night during the week, any other day, if there's a better day and time, if anybody, any help you guys wanna get organized, if you have people that wanna help, send them our way. Any
Well,
help,
okay.
taking all the help.
When the county puts a tree up, we need help decorating that with big ornaments too. That should be a weekend for Thanksgiving.
I think that's it. I know, right?
Crickets.
It's a council committee fest. So you guys are gonna take over, right? No, I'm joking. Okay, we can do a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Everybody good? Yes.